In this installment of the Data Allocation 100 Quick Start series, we're going to be integrating test data allocation into a Micro Focus UFT automation framework. The goal of this session is that by the end you will be able to integrate data allocation into your UFT automation framework. This is so you can expose the full power of data allocation to your framework, finding, making and allocating data to automated test cases. What we've done so far is specify the test data required inside the test data allocation engine against a SQL Server database. What we can do is we can reference these artifacts inside Micro Focus UFT. This is so that when your automation runs, what we're going to do is just in time, as part of that execution, we're going to make, find and allocate that test data on the fly so that when your automation is running, it has the right data in the right place at the right time to support your test automation requirements. So let's jump in and integrate test data allocation into Micro Focus UFT. Now what we're going to be testing here is our Splendid CRM opportunities page. And what we need to do here is come in and enter an opportunity name. We need to enter an account name which exists in our backend database, and we need to enter a campaign name that also exists in our backend database. Now what we've done inside UFT here is we have just recorded a simple test going through our login screen and then coming in and setting some static values for our account and our campaign here. Now the problem we're having is that the account and the campaign that we're embedding are static values. Now at runtime we need to have an account and a campaign that exists, and we do not know what accounts and campaigns are going to be present and non-deleted in our backend database. So this is where we need to use data allocation to come in and start to find valid accounts and valid campaigns that we can consume inside our test case here. So to do that, what we're going to use is the UFT client library for Test Modeler to undertake data allocation. Now the first thing we need to do here is come in and download the zip. Now we've just unzipped that file and we've loaded it onto our desktop, and the interesting one here that we need is this curiosity.qfl. Now we're just going to copy the directory for this. We're going to come back into UFT, and what we're going to do is right click here, go to add associate function library, and we'll click on that button. Now we'll navigate to the directory we just downloaded to, and we're going to pull in this curiosity.qfl file, and we'll hit open here. Now if we open this test up, what we'll see now is we've got the function library associated here, which has all of the test modeler methods in, which has all of our data allocation methods in to go and assign allocations and also perform data allocations. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to start embedding our allocations inside here. Now if we go back to our GitHub repository, the first thing we need to do is set up and configure our Curiosity library. First thing we need to do is give our server name. Now the VIP server that we're using is going to be called VIP James. We then need to give our server URL and our API key. Now if you come into Profiles Details, you'll be able to pull the URL of your server that you're using. So we'll paste that in here. And the next thing we need to do is come in and take our API key, which we will embed inside this parameter here. Now we've configured the Curiosity data allocation engine with our credentials. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to specify which test groups we want to perform allocation on. And there's two that we're going to perform here. Now the allocation pool that we're connecting into, we go to Data Catalog Allocation Pool, is Splendid Dev Team. That's the allocation pool that we're going to be using inside this test. If we open it up, we'll see the test suite that we're going to be using, which is Create Leads. We'll paste this into both. The next thing we need to specify are our test allocation names, and we're going to be using these two. We're going to be using a campaign of active and male, and we're going to be pulling in finding a valid account. So we'll come in here and we'll paste that one in. We'll see here we're now adding these two allocation references, and we're telling the data allocation engine these are what we need allocated and these are the allocations associated with this test. The next thing we'll do is we will call our engine to perform our allocations. So this code here is going to perform our allocations for these that are tagged. Now what we're going to want to do next is retrieve our allocation results. Now if we come back in here to our library, what we'll see is that we've got a function here to retrieve the results. So we're just going to copy that and we'll paste it in. And we're going to do this twice. The first one we're going to retrieve is going to be our campaign results. Okay, and we'll print them out. And the second set of results we're going to retrieve is going to be our account result. And again, we're going to print that out just for a nice little bit of debugging here. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy the settings we've got here. And this is going to specify that we get the same result back for our campaign that has been resolved. And we're going to do the same for our accounts here. And we'll get those back. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to set up the account that we're going to retrieve. And we're going to get the account, and then we're going to get the campaign. And what this allows us to do is, instead of having static values here, we're now going to embed our dynamic values as part of that allocation. Now what you'll notice here is that we've called the column to retrieve name. This is what we defined it as in our parameter inside our criteria. Now you may have multiple columns being returned, in which case you will just specify the corresponding key value pairs. You may also have an array returned of many results. Here we're just returning one. In that case, you can loop over the returned results using a for loop. So now we have our allocation set up, performing our allocation, retrieving the results, and then consuming the results in our framework. Now what we can do is go off and execute this automation. Let's take a look at a demo. So what we'll do here is we'll just hit the run button and execute our test. And we'll just open up our automation server as well. And what we're going to see here is our code is going to go away and do the allocation, which is now complete. And now UFT will pick up this test and it will start to run it. So we're going to go through the login. Head to the opportunities page, and we'll see here we're embedding our valid account names and campaign names here, and we've gone through the test. What we'll also see here is down below we had our values printed out that came from that allocation. So we have our campaign name at the top, and we also have here our account name, which has been plugged in to our UFT script. Thanks for watching this video. Any questions, please email james.walker@curiosity.software.